Somewhere in a small Tuscan city, there is a bank that opened before Christopher Columbus sailed to America, and it is still open today. It has survived plagues, wars, the fall of its own government, and a financial collapse in 2008 that nearly ended it for good. And here's the detail almost nobody expects. It wasn't founded by a wealthy banking family, or a king, or a private investor chasing profit. It was founded by a city government, specifically to help the poor. This is the real story of the world's oldest bank still in operation, who actually owned it, and why the answer to who owns the first bank is far stranger than you'd guess. Before we get to that bank, we have to clear up a genuine mess of competing claims, because the first bank in the world gets thrown around loosely, and precision actually matters here. If you mean the first privately run bank of any kind, the Medici Bank in Florence, founded in 1397, is usually the answer, though it collapsed within a century. If you mean the first state-run deposit bank, that title likely belongs to the Bank of St. George, founded in Genoa in 1407, which handled public debt and deposits for the Genoese Republic for centuries before finally dissolving in the Napoleonic era. But if the question is which bank has operated continuously under one identity, from its founding all the way to right now, the answer is neither of those. It's Banca Monte dei Paschi di Siena, and by the end of this video you'll understand exactly why that distinction matters. The story starts in 1472, in Siena, at the time an independent city-state known as the Republic of Siena, not yet part of a unified Italy, which wouldn't exist for another 400 years. The city was in the grip of a genuine social crisis. Ordinary Sienese citizens who needed a loan had almost nowhere legitimate to turn, forced instead toward private moneylenders charging brutal, often predatory interest rates. So the magistracy of the Republic of Siena, essentially the city's own governing council, stepped in and founded an institution called a Monte di Pietà, literally a mountain of piety. Its entire purpose was to offer small, low-interest loans to the poor, using personal items as collateral, specifically to undercut the moneylenders and give ordinary people some way fair to turn. So here's the answer to who actually owned the first surviving bank in the world. The government did. Not a merchant family. Not a single wealthy founder with his name over the door. A city council, acting on behalf of its own citizens, created it as an act of public charity. That's the opposite of how most people imagine banking history starting. For over a century, the Monte operated exactly as designed, a modest public charity handling small loans. Then, in 1624, everything changed. Ferdinand II, the Medici Grand Duke who by then ruled the wider Tuscan region including Siena, backed the bank's deposits with a genuinely clever guarantee: the income from state-owned pasture lands in a region called the Maremma. Those pastures were known locally as the Paschi. That's not a coincidence of naming. That guarantee is where the bank's modern name, Monte dei Paschi, literally mountain of the pastures, actually comes from. This 1624 reform is also the moment most historians treat as the bank's true founding as a formal, structured banking institution, even though its roots as a charitable Monte stretch back over a century earlier to 1472. From there, the bank simply kept going, through an almost unbroken run that most companies, let alone banks, never come close to matching. It survived the collapse of the Republic of Siena itself, when the city lost its independence to Florence in the 16th century. It survived Italian unification in the 19th century, which transformed it from a regional Tuscan institution into a bank operating across the newly formed nation of Italy. It survived 2 world wars fought on Italian soil. Ownership evolved over those centuries too, shifting from the original city magistracy toward a structure combining state oversight with a dedicated charitable foundation that continued funding public works and civic projects in Siena, a role the bank's profits still support today. Then, in the 21st century, the bank that had outlived the Roman-adjacent Republic of Siena very nearly didn't survive modern finance. In 2007, right on the edge of the global financial crisis, Monte dei Paschi acquired a struggling rival bank, Anton Veneta, for roughly €9 billion, a price most analysts considered wildly inflated even at the time. The financial crisis hit almost immediately afterward, and losses mounted for years. In 2013, that mounting pressure exploded into an actual scandal. Prosecutors revealed that bank executives, including former chairman Giuseppe Massari, had used complex derivative deals nicknamed Santorini and Alexandria, arranged with Deutsche Bank and Nomura, to disguise roughly €2 billion in losses tied to the Antonveneta deal and to bad bets on Italian government debt. The case eventually led to jail sentences for over a dozen bankers in 2019, later overturned on appeal in 2022. And in 2017, the Italian government was forced to step in directly, injecting several billion euros of taxpayer money and taking a controlling stake of roughly 68%, just to keep the doors open. For a period, the government controlled more than two-thirds of the world's oldest bank outright. So there's real symmetry in this story that's easy to miss. The bank that opened in 1472 specifically because the government wanted to protect ordinary citizens from a broken private financial system nearly closed in the 2010s because of exactly the kind of reckless private financial decision-making it was originally created to guard against. And once again, it was the government that stepped in to save it. In the years since, the Italian state has gradually sold down its stake, dropping from that 68% controlling position to under 5% by the mid-2020s, and the bank has returned to relative stability, even making acquisition offers of its own again in recent years. So the next time somebody tells you the first bank was founded by some brilliant merchant family looking to get rich, you'll know the real story is almost the opposite. The oldest bank still standing in the world exists because a city government 550 years ago decided ordinary people deserved somewhere better than a loan shark. That idea has now outlived an entire republic, survived multiple wars, weathered a genuine fraud scandal, and been rescued from collapse by the very same kind of institution that founded it in the first place. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the real history behind the institutions we use every day, subscribe, because there's a lot more where this came from.